So in today's video, I just wanted to make Measure 11 my focal point. Can't begin to tell you just what a negative impact Measure 11 has had on both adults in the prison system as well as kids, children. As a person that's done 20 years incarcerated, I can't begin to tell you about some of the atrocities I've seen, horror stories I've experienced, seen with my own eyes. Adult prison is no place for children. And when they first get there, they're left with two choices: either sink or swim. They're receptive to the older convicts, which kind of shape and mold them. And I'm not even touching on the prison pipeline. I've seen children who are receptive to the older individuals, talk them into doing crazy things, entertaining the concept of violence. I know you guys see a lot of the videos I put out and they're graphic. But I only do that to share with the public how horrific existing in prison truly is. And if it's hard for an adult, well then, I'm sure you can only imagine like the impact prison has on kids. I went to prison when I was 18, entered the system, and as soon as I got there, there was violence, there was riots, there was the type of violence I've never experienced in my entire life. It's people getting stabbed, and yes, children do get raped in prison. That's a fact. And most cases of rape go unnoticed because the individuals who do get raped really don't say nothing about it. They're ashamed and embarrassed. Along with that comes the violence that these kids are exposed to. It's almost as if we have a training ground, like a war zone, a training ground that breeds violence, that breeds hatred. When you're a kid and you go in there and you're left to fend for yourself, you understand the concept of solitude, the concept of being alone and abandoned and rejected from society. And the only way to combat that is, of course, to become as cold as you possibly can be in order to survive your environment, like the harsh realities of it. And furthermore, you're left with no possibility of coming home early. Measure 11 is day for day, regardless of who you are, no matter if it's your first offense. It's taken the power out of the judge's hands. And not just that, the incentive to get better, to do good, to try to come home early, to try to be a productive member of society is completely stripped away at the feet of hopelessness. And when you go in there and you're young, you're not really thinking about going home anymore. You're more or less entertaining the concept of solitude, of hopelessness. And you're doing whatever you can to survive it. And for adults who get sentenced as kids to 25 years, 40 years, 30 years, mandatory sentences, no matter how much they change, no matter what they've done, no matter how hard they've worked, college degrees, it means absolutely nothing.
It's because they're stuck in here with nothing to do.
I've got friends who changed their lives, who haven't been in trouble for 20 years, 25 years, not one DR, and can't earn one day of good time, can't come home early because they got a mandatory sentence. And these are people, individuals who would be assets to our community, people who want to change the world, people who want to spend their lives helping kids like them that enter the system at that age. And it's crazy because most of these people would do anything to help these kids out here that were in their situation, and they're the only ones that these kids even listen to. Yet we put them away behind bars. We incarcerate them in these horrific environments, And if one day they do come home, they're not equipped with what it takes to be out here. And I can tell you that from experience. I spent 20 years incarcerated, and coming home has been nothing but a sad reality. And I'm happy to be home. Do not get me wrong. I'm happy to be home and participate out here with other people and show my love and concern. But I would be lying to you if I told you that my existence has become easy because I'm home. After all the psychological issues I've accumulated within the past 20 years of my incarceration, it is hard to survive out here, much less thrive. And this is one thing that I believe wholeheartedly, that us as a society, we can do so much better than this. We can care for our kids, we can help them, not just lock them up and throw away the key. Most of these kids come from horrific backgrounds. Most of the people in prison come from horrific backgrounds. And unfortunately, most of the people in prison come from marginalized communities. Communities in which they had a fight to exist. They had a fight to put food on the table as kids. They never had a chance to go to school. They were abused. And when you come from a background like that, school isn't the first thing on your mind. Survival is. And I'm just asking anybody who's listening to please have a heart of compassion and understand there's so much more to a child that commits a crime, so much more to an adult that commits a crime, that we are not defined for the crime that we committed. And I understand that people got hurt, but how does two wrongs ever make a right? Can't begin to tell you how much I care about this issue. Because as a person that has spent the majority of his life destroying the communities he resided in, I now fully intend and am fully devoted to healing it. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you. Love you guys. God bless.